In about 30 seconds. 10 seconds. We actually might be live now. I can never time this thing just right. I try.
Oh,
I think we are live. Let me just see if I got the notification on my phone. Did this last week and we were live for a good 30 seconds before I realized it. So I'm gonna assume that we're live right now, Keishorne, and I'm gonna introduce you to everybody out there. Yeah. So welcome to Kowalski Analysis. I think this is episode 29, everybody. I'm pretty pumped about that. I heard a stat not long ago that said the average number that people of episodes people do before they quit is 7. So I'm on 29. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. But
that's good.
Yeah. Tonight we got a special guest, a guy that I've been friends with for a couple of years now. His name is Keishorne Scott. And Keishorne is a 2-time best-selling author. He's a motivational speaker. He's a breakup and heartbreak coach, TV personality, and he's the founder of Your Love Experience International. He's been seen on Forbes, Good Morning America, ABC News, MSN.com, Yahoo TV, Newsday, and many other high-profile media outlets. He is widely considered America's #1 heartbreak coach. Welcome to Kowalski Analysis, Keishorne Scott.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me again. I know we did many things in the past, but it's always great things when we're together. So I'm happy and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, me ditto. Thank you for taking the time to come on. Keishorne actually and I, we originally linked up with the very first No Sex November. I think that was 2 years ago. So, yep. And he's a married guy. So, he's a warrior. But before we get into it, I just want to really quickly, I want to announce my sponsor, and I'm just going to share my screen really quickly because I want people to see this cutout here. Okay. So I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Micah Hughes. Micah is a longtime friend of mine, and he helps people gain financial peace through real estate. So whether it's buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate, Micah will come alongside of you, walk you through the process. And what I love about Micah, and I say it every week, is that he genuinely cares about people. He considers this his ministry. He's very trustworthy. It's his passion, and he just takes care of people. So if you're interested in buying a home, starting the process to buy a home, maybe just getting your finances in order to save to buy a home one day, investing in real estate, or maybe even just selling a home, Micah can do that for you. You can reach him at 443-532-8450, or you can email him at micahhughes@mundalconsulting.com. I think that's right. I'm not looking at the email address, but I'll put it in the show notes. So it'll just be down below. You can email him if you don't want to call him. But without further ado, let's get into it with Keishorne. So first question, and you may have told me this before. I'm sure that I ask you because it's like the first question that comes to mind is how do you become a heartbreak, a dating, a heartbreak and breakup and heartbreak coach. That was what I was looking for.
I think you did ask me that before. You asking that question again is making me think, and I think that you did ask me that question.
You went through something, right? You went through a breakup. Is that what you told me?
Yeah. So my destination came from my experience.
Right.
What I tell people. So it came from my experience. Going through a breakup took me about 2 to 3 years to get over her. It was traumatic. It was scary. It was ugly. It was confusing. It was frustrating. But at the end of the day, I had to get through it. And I experienced a lot of the feelings and the emotions that a lot of people had, the same people who I speak to this day, the same women and men who I speak to on my page. And I was with this woman for 5 years. Wow. So it felt like, 5 years going through the breakup, trying to heal, not believing that I'll ever love again, thinking I'll be single forever. So when people come with me with the questions and the concerns and the frustrations, I get it. You're not speaking to someone who haven't walked in your shoes or been there. I 100% get it. And I'm here to help you hold your hand and walk you through the same process as well.
Right. Now, did you get physical with the girl early, or did you know her for a while before you got physical? I'm just curious because I always, for me, that was always
Yeah.
the thing
Hmm.
that tripped me up was I would have sex quickly and then I would get,
Hmm.
some kind of attachment to them
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
time.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't saved. So definitely, it was quick, you know, and a lot of times, I mean, as you know, sex can kind of alter your emotions and alter your feelings and make you think one way when in reality, it's not exactly what you actually think or feel at the moment. So it was definitely early. We did it, definitely had sex
Yeah,
early.
right.
Hmm.
I was just curious
Yeah.
about that. I
Yeah.
was,
Ask anything.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, relationship pain. I was thinking about it, like, I was getting ready for this interview, and I was like,
Hmm.
relationship pain is it's so much different of a type, like a different type of pain than any other
Yeah.
pain. Like you got pain, physical pain, you got pain from like losing a family member to death or
Hmm.
whatever. But a relationship pain is just really, it's just completely unique. That's why they
Hmm.
write so many songs about it. Like you think of
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
songs that are written about breaking up. It's like, why
Hmm.
is it so much different? Like, I just wonder what makes it so like, you know, because I believe it was, like I compare it to when my first girlfriend, when we broke up.
Hmm.
When we were together, I knew I wasn't in love. I wanted to be out, but when we broke up, it made me, I hurt so bad that I just wanted her back, even
Hmm.
knowing in my head it wasn't right. I couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand the thought of her being with somebody else. And I just, what do you think that is?
I mean, love is a dangerous, fun, beautiful, scary thing, and we build some crazy attachments to people. It could be maybe abandonment issues when you were younger. So, or maybe your mom or your dad had a lot of relationships and they were in and out relationships, but you wanted to prove to them that you wanted a stable one. So if a breakup happens to you or a divorce, you feel like something's wrong with you. And the issue is actually not with the breakup, but how you feel because of how your mother or your father felt in the past. And a lot of the pain that we feel, kind of like, like you just said, to death, is because you feel that sharp pain in your chest. You actually, I don't know if you ever felt it, but you feel as if you can't breathe. You feel as if you're being hit with a ton of bricks. Your whole emotion, your aura changes. You know, you don't know what's up or down. You're confused, and it's painful.
Yeah.
But I believe that we invest so much in people, and we expect the same thing in return. When we don't get that same investment back, we feel hurt.
Yeah.
And then that's when the friction actually starts. We expect people to be on our same page rather than kind of meeting them where they're at and understanding that I need to love you with a different expectations than what I have. I need to understand you and get to know you. And
Yeah.
when we don't understand people or get to know them, when they do things, we get uncomfortable rather than communicating. And then we start making rash decisions, and then heartbreak happens in many forms and different levels to get up to the big one.
Right. Do you think that what sets us up for that pain, that relationship pain, is it stuff from our childhood, like insecurities,
Mm-hmm.
or is it just like lack of self-control? Like, I think for me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, actually. On
Mm-hmm.
the surface level, it felt like I just, I didn't know how to manage my sexual appetite. So I would get into these, complicated situations with women. And then, then I would cause pain and experience pain because of that. But
Mm-hmm.
as someone that's a coach, professional coach that deals with this stuff, do you find what's the number one cause of people,
Mm-hmm.
putting themselves in harm's way? Is it, just childhood trauma, or is it because they don't pump the brakes with the sex life, or what is it?
Mm-hmm.
A combination of things?
I think it's a combination of things, and everybody's situation is a little bit different. Like yours, you said self-control. So yours is probably, more of controlling or being more disciplined
Yeah.
with your mindset and your self-control. Maybe you like sex a lot.
Yeah.
And some men, we love sex a lot, and it's hard to kind of control or tame that feeling. So now, how do we even tell somebody that, tell a woman that? Because at times, what men don't express is that we could be in a relationship with a woman, but still earn or yearn for another woman, not in the relationship emotional standpoint, but I just want to have sex with you. So that's the part that we have to control. The ability to kind of say, you know what, I am happy where I'm at. And even though I do get these urges, it's normal because I am human. It's how I act on it,
Yeah.
and acting on the emotions, that's a completely different story. And with the childhood trauma, that comes with a lot of baggages. And with that, there's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of, false taught love of what love really is. And sometimes you kind of build your own like ideas around love based on how you were treated or how you weren't treated, or what you didn't have and what you did have. So if you didn't have a father in your life and you're getting a divorce and your husband is leaving, that's a traumatic experience, because now you're thinking, okay, my mother went through this, now I'm going to go through this. So is this a generational curse? Yeah. Is it me? Am I the problem? When in reality, you have to take time to understand, am I even in the position emotionally, mentally to receive a relationship or give someone the love that I have, expecting to be hurt in return?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always assumed that for me, I was girl crazy, but I looking back, I think there was, trauma in my childhood from my dad not being around, and I felt I was insecure. And me, if I was able to get girls, it made me feel like I am a man, or I was validated. But it was really, not something I was conscious of at all. I just thought I was horny,
Yeah. I mean, you get conscious about it when you get older.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're conscious about it now is because you're way smarter, you're wiser, you've read a lot of books, you've hanged around a lot of people. And the thing about people like you is that you wanted to change. Yeah. You actually wanted to do better with your life because you wanted a family, you wanted a wife, you wanted children, you want much more than what you was getting at the moment. And that's the beautiful part of it. There's a lot of people who walk around and they don't even know where to start. And I think that's the reason why you started the City Fam, and you started, why Waiting Works, because you learned something, you understood it, and you realized that you're not the only one who's going through it. So I want to help everybody else either end the frustration, end the insecurities, and understand that once you're at peace with yourself and you kind of heal all the baggages and the pain that you had from your past, the future is yours.
Yeah. For me, honestly, it started off, I just wanted to be obedient to God. That was it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I honestly, I liked casual sex. I did. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't even understand the value in waiting, but I just wanted to be obedient to God because I knew like, this is what he said to do. And I'm not one of those people that are going to kind of pick and choose. Like, I just believe, like I'm a fundamentalist for the most part. So that was really it. But I'm grateful now because I was talking to a friend about it actually last night. I'm like, I shudder to think, who I'd be without God in my life. Like, what even would I look like? Like, I just would probably look like shit. I would have been a shell of myself. I would have hurt so many people and hurt myself and probably been a disgrace to my family. And like, thank God that he called me, so
I say the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's the truth.
All right. So what would you say is the number one cure for a broken heart? If you had to narrow it down, because I'm sure there's a lot of things that you recommend people do, but if you had to say the number one cure for a broken heart, what would you narrow it down to?
I will narrow it down to forgiveness, like forgiving yourself. I will narrow it down to forgiveness, because if you hear all of the outcomes of a broken heart, I blame myself. Why did this happen? Why didn't I know sooner? So all that blame, it just forgive yourself for the mistake that you made. You made a mistake. You knew that he was hitting on you. You should have left a little sooner. You know that she kept on coming home late and she was sleeping with the other guy or your friend. You should have left sooner, but you held on because you're compassionate and you thought that if you stayed around, maybe they'll see that you were a good person and they will, change their mind and maybe they will do better, but you can't change someone who doesn't want to be changed. So you blame yourself. So I say one of the number one steps is forgiveness. Forgive yourself and understand that it happened, accept it, and it's time to plan. And then, like you said, the many other things, that's when you plan to move forward with that.
Are most of your clients men or women? Just curious.
It used to be women, but I got a lot of men. I've been getting a lot of men lately who's been DMing me. And it got to a point where it was more men than it were women.
Wow.
Because men, they just start DMing and say, I like the way you talk. You really don't sound like, you're not bashing me. Even on some of your posts is about women. I think they genuinely they could hear it in your voice when you're not judgmental. You probably came where they came from.
Yeah.
and you're actually going to help them. So I've been getting a lot of men, for even friends from high school, people who I knew from a long time ago, who's hitting you up and they're like, you know what, I got to work with you, man. I realized that I've been the problem. And the kind of issues that I'm getting from men, the kind of issues, but the kind of issues that I'm getting from men is that I've messed up, I've cheated, I've been a terrible man, I've been a terrible husband, I've been a terrible boyfriend. I need to change, and I need you to help me. That's the most beautiful thing that God can do, is for you to identify that there is a problem, right? You identify that there's a speck in your eye, and then you're able to say, you know what, I got to change for myself.
So the majority of the men that are reaching out because they were scumbags, and they're wanting, and I use that term loosely. I say that about myself, but they did things that they regret, that they're wanting to change. Not that their spouse or their partner did necessarily. Yeah, because that's interesting. That's interesting. So what's motivating them to want to change? Did they get caught, or are they just feeling guilty?
I'm not sure. And sometimes it's not cheating. Sometimes it's anger. And then sometimes it's insecurity. Sometimes, I made a video one time on years ago on like generational curses and men doing this and doing that. And then the guy said he watched the video 1,000 times until he realized that, okay, he is the problem, or he does have this narcissistic traits. He kind of like put women down in order to build themselves back up. And my number one question is always to clients, anyone, how did you come to that conclusion? I need to know how. When did you realize this? Like, because there's always a trigger that, triggers an action. Nobody can tell you, I don't know. You do know. You just got to ask the right questions. But some of it is definitely cheating. And some of the majority is that they want to change their ways, anger, manipulative ways, talking to multiple women. They try to prepare themselves for marriage.
Right.
And I think, yeah.
No, that's good. So what other kind of work do you recommend? I mean, can you share a few things? You don't have to give all your tips away.
I mean, definitely therapy, is one of the number one things. I would say another number two on the other side of therapy, it's not even coaching. It's actually joining groups like you have, but being really active in those groups with other people. Because when you know that other people are going through what you're going through, you kind of feel a little bit better, because when you're home alone crying at night, you think that you're the only person not waiting to have sex. When you think that you're the only person who have anger issues, when you're the only person who's going through a broken heart, and you understand that you have something common with other broken people, and you guys can kind of like go from brokenness to wholeness together. Yeah, that will put you on a whole different path. You have an accountability partner. I think you spoke about that. I think a while back in the group. I don't know, you said something, or you and someone else, but accountability and how important that was. And and also coming to, and then doing the work, working with a coach or a therapist, actually doing the worksheets, doing the work, kind of digging deep into your personal, professional life, understanding who your mother was, understanding who your father was, understanding your brother, any kind of relationships that you have, and accepting the fact that you're going to go through a painful journey, and it's not easy. Right. You're going to fall, you're going to cry. You might say, I don't want to do this no more. I want to give up. This is too difficult. I keep thinking about him or her. I can't stop thinking, what if I'm single for the rest of my life? In a world where everybody wants sex, how am I supposed to wait? Like how? So, just, my life, and that's the hardest part. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned to you before, but I had women when I first got saved after my breakup told me that they wouldn't talk to me, or they couldn't move forward because I wouldn't have sex. And I was like, wow. Like I called my boy. I was like, yo, I was just talking to that girl, I was talking up to. She told me that she don't want to talk to me no more because I won't. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, man. And it was crazy to me when a woman, said that. So at that moment, I realized, like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to compromise my faith, or my pureness, or what I've been working on for so long, for years, just for something that might not work. It might not work. Right. So, yeah.
That's crazy. Well, if they'll do it for you, they'll do it to you too. Like, yeah, so that's, if she's willing to give it out so easily to you, she might've been doing that with the last person.
Everybody else.
Right. But, So you mentioned community. Yeah. Cause I wanted to ask about that. Like
Mhm.
you said, like when you know that other people are going through it, it makes it easier. I was actually thinking about something I learned in one of my psychology classes when I was in college. They said, if you're depressed, the best kind of movie to go see isn't a comedy. The best
Mhm.
movie to go see is a sad movie if you're depressed, because
Mhm.
then you feel like other people are sad too. And it doesn't make you
Yeah.
feel so bad because, shared experiences, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like what you said. But I know for me, like, having community, definitely misery loves company, and I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
miserable, but sometimes it's hard, like, and if you have people to go through that process with, you're a lot less likely to get into something that's probably going to come back on you and really damage you, because you were desperate. So like you jumped into something a little too quick
Mhm.
because you were lonely.
Yeah.
I got a question here from one of our viewers, and her name is Josie Renfield. She said, "Why do men always come back? 2 months later, a year, even 20 years. I've listened to so many women say they will come back, and yet I'm surprised when they do."
Mhm. I mean, the reason why men always come back is because they try to look for you in other women, and when they don't succeed, they come back.
Hmm.
So, and that's how they heal. A lot of men don't heal. They don't spend time like as women. That's why you were so surprised when you heard about the number of clients. But women, they seek help. They seek professional help. They want someone to help them. They want to change. They want to get over. They want to prove that they can survive. Men, we kind of, it is what it is. I'm going to look for another woman to kind of soothe myself and make myself feel better. But when but then they're gonna compare who you were to other women. They're not gonna find that. So when they don't find that, they're gonna say, you know what? I had a good thing. I need to get that back. But you're getting back the same man who you left
Right.
3, 4 years ago. You're not gonna get back somebody different. You're gonna get back the same person. So men, the reason why they don't change or they come back is because they try to search for you and other women and don't succeed.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. Like, I think they what you said, they think the grass is greener. They go out there, and I did this, and then you have this. I'm in love with the idea of that girl. I might
Yeah,
not have been in love, but I was in love with the idea of her. And then
that's it.
I get her back, and I'm like, I'm gonna change. It's gonna be different this time. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just will myself into being a different person. And then
Yep.
you get it back, and you're not a different person, like you said. And
Yeah.
even though I meant it when I said it, like, it's going to be different. I love you. Like, whatever, I'm going to change. But when you get back, you're still the same person, and the thing reverts right back to where it was in
Yeah.
about a short amount of time. So, like,
Yeah.
you recommend people don't get back together if it didn't work the first time, or what do you tell people?
You have to communicate together, and you have to say, if you are going to get back together, right? Say it was a mutual breakup, right? You can't come back the same people you were. You have to come back two different individuals. Whether if you had anger problems, if you had communication problems, if you have frustration problems, it can't be the same person that you're getting back. So, and it has to be a grace period. Don't come back 2 weeks after. Don't come back 30 days.
Oh, we lost Keishorne there. Not sure what happened. All right, guys, hang tight. I'm sure he'll jump back in here in a moment. Hey, everybody out there, this is a great conversation. I don't know if y'all are enjoying it as much as I am, but take a moment and share this stream, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're at. Hit the share button. There might be somebody out there that needs to hear this information. Oh, there's Keishorne now. Let's get him back in. Hey, lost you there for a
Yeah.
second.
Sorry about that. Yep.
That's okay. So go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, so it's not the same person that you're getting back. It has to be someone different that you're getting back, which means you're actually working on you, you're working on your well-being, you're working on your personal development, you're working on your anger issues, you're working on your heart. So when, say, a couple of months down the line, you guys can say, hey, what did you work on? Like, how are you going to add value to my life based on how we left 6 months ago, 8 months
Sure.
ago? And that's how you start working. People don't do that. People
That's
just,
good.
you see them, you have sex with them, the sex manipulates your mind. You start thinking, oh my God, you made love to me. You told me that you love me. Matter of fact, let's make this work again. Because I think you said something in the beginning. You don't want to be lonely. And loneliness will drag you into something that will break you and hurt you.
Yeah, that's good, man. I had a girlfriend that not a platonic girlfriend. And basically she found out her boyfriend was cheating on her, and, you know, he wanted to, you know, wanted her back and how he was going to change. And a mutual friend of ours said, well, you know, make him show you, kick him out of the house. You know, he has to make him move out and make him show you that he's actually going to change. Just don't just take his word for it. And I thought it was such good advice, because I'm sure he meant it when he said it, but will he actually do it when it comes down to it? That's really where it
applying actions behind it. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's right.
Okay. So Vicky McKendry asked, how do you trust again?
I mean, that starts with, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to trust. You know, how do you trust in men? How do you trust another man in a relationship? But we're talking about relationships, so I'm gonna just guess as relationships.
Yeah.
Or trust someone else. It's hard, you know, and before you can trust again, you got to figure out what broke the trust. You know, you can't just say, I'm gonna trust again, learn how to trust. It's a little bit deeper than that. You know, what stopped you from trusting in the first place? And that's where you go and you heal that part. It depends on what it is. And in order for me to tell you how to trust again, I will have to know exactly what it is.
Let's say it was infidelity.
Broken.
Infidelity. Let's say somebody cheated.
Okay, so if someone cheated, you have to understand that the problem wasn't with you, right? The problem wasn't with you. The problem was with whoever it is did the action. Right. But sometimes as men or women, we might feel as if we caused it, because the person who did it might say, the reason why I did it was because of, you know, you weren't there for me, you know, you didn't love me, you didn't show me no emotional support. But at the end of the day, that doesn't give you the right to go out and sleep with someone else behind my back. If I wasn't giving you that emotional satisfaction, that physical satisfaction or mental satisfaction, you speak to me about it like a grown adult, and don't go sleeping with someone else to find comfort where you could have got it here. Right. So in order for you to trust again, you have to understand that everyone is not like that person that you were in a relationship with. And at times, I said in the beginning, to love is to be hurt as well. You know, so you have to forgive yourself in that area, but also forgive them for being so ignorant and understand and not knowing what love really is, not knowing what to give someone your all really is, you know. And I think that's one of the first steps to trust.
So you said to love is to be hurt. Is that what you said? Or to feel pain?
To love is to be hurt. To love is the possibility. I don't know the quote too much, but to love.
I get what you're saying. You basically have to put yourself in a vulnerable position that you're. To expect, it's kind of like to expect to be hurt, because you might be hurt in the process. 9 times out of 10, if you love someone, you're going to be hurt. Either they're going to tell you something that you might not agree with. They might tell you something that's true, you know, that you don't probably accept yet. Right. You know, but to be loved is to risk being hurt in the process. Yeah. What do you, so this is a question from another viewer, Jill Schumacher. She said, should guys and girls remain friends after breaking up?
I made a video on that, right? I said, no, you know, it depends on the level of the breakup, you know, but all breakups don't end. Oh my gosh, I love you still, but let's just not see each other. Yeah, I mean, like, who does that? Right. Like, who shakes hand and give a big hug and I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow after a breakup? You know, I say that you could become friends, but that's not your destination at the moment. Your destination is to evaluate that relationship, see where it went, see your problems in the relationship. What do you need to improve on, and heal from that relationship? Even if the relationship was good, something needs to be communicated within yourself. And then you could be, your goal is not to be friends right now. Your goal is to heal and to get back to the heal hold you, the you before that relationship started.
So the answer is possibly, but
no, the answer is just no. I'm gonna just say no. Don't be friends. You could be friends in the future, just not right now.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's keep rolling. So I got a couple more questions here from viewers. Let's see. Melissa Cornish Phillips says, why do men prey on women who have had their heart broken and act like they are going to be different, and then just end up taking advantage of emotions and making it even harder for them to trust? Is it something, then she says, is it something I'm doing that's attracting them?
Oh man, you're going to hate me for this. What's her name?
Her name is Melissa Cornish Phillips.
Melissa. Melissa, I want you to take this advice really strong. You share too much.
Mm.
You shared too much. The only reason he knew you were broken was because you told him in the first place. You confided in him in the first place. So at the end of the day, he's seen someone who was vulnerable, and you might be in a space in your life where you were kind of weak. So whatever he was telling you, whatever was sweet, you haven't heard in a long time because you were broken. So at some point you felt good, and that's what you needed, right? But that's only, temporary,
Yeah.
So it kind of blurred your vision from seeing what was real, from reading the red flags, from reading the warning signs. So, and that's okay because you're human. So don't hate yourself for it.
Mm.
Moving forward, you share less, right? Because day in or just talking to people, it's a resume. They have to audition for your life and your audition for their life. If he's not a good fit for your life, then that's okay. He might fit for another role somewhere else. But at the end of the day, you can't share too much of yourself to people, especially in the early stage.
Yeah.
You're sharing too much, because if I'm telling you, hey, my ex did this, he did that, and then he's gonna say, well, you deserve the best, you deserve to be treated like a queen, and I could do that for you. Of course you're in a vulnerable stage, and you want to know that you weren't a liability.
Right.
You want to know that you're still beautiful. You want to know that you're still precious. You want to know that you're still that queen. But when that breakup happened, it broke you. So now when he's talking to you, it's like everything that you ever wanted. All you did was you shared too much. They don't have to know that you're broken, right? And you need to spend time healing, so you don't have to have those conversations.
Right.
You can bring those up later on.
Because honestly, I think men, especially if they're like a real alpha male, like sometimes women don't even have to tell you that they're broken. You can just, it's like blood in the water, and if you're a shark, it don't matter if you're trying to be a nice guy. When you smell blood, it's like, you might want to help somebody, but it's not going to stop you from like men are very sexually wired, and they, a lot of them can't control themselves when it comes to that. So definitely, I think what you said about healing is so important, because, like, even if they're a good hearted person that don't mean bad intent, don't have any bad intentions purposely, sometimes, just things happen and they can't control themselves.
And sometimes he might read that you need comfort, because sometimes when you grieve, he's like, you know what, I need to comfort her. So sometimes for men, the only way I'm gonna comfort you is either by kissing you or making love to you. That's how I know how to comfort you.
Right.
Your homegirls know how to hug you and talk to you and stroke your hair.
Yeah.
Men, we don't know how to stroke your hair. We can stroke something else, but we don't know how to stroke your hair. But we're going to give you comfort the way we feel, the way we are comforted. We're comforted by making love, kissing.
Yeah.
We don't, if our homeboy or our friend, he texts me and he says, if I text you, Rob, I'm going through a breakup, I'm upset right now, you're going to say, hey, come into my house, lay on my shoulder while you tell me all about it. No, you're going to say probably get another woman, go out and let's drink, or let's go and get something, something else. So we're going to comfort the woman at the level of how we comfort.
Right.
And that's what they need to understand.
No, especially if a woman's broken, she has to be so careful, because like, if a woman was like crying on my shoulder and was hurt, and then, she's in a vulnerable spot where, like she's wanting to be comforted. And if I was, start kissing her, like as a man, you translate that as,
Comfort.
like you just said, and without even thinking it all the way through. Like, that's why my boundaries, and I know this isn't a conversation about boundaries, but like a similar situation happened to me. When I rededicated my life to God, I think it was like 3 or 4 years into my abstinence journey. And I just, was hanging out with a girlfriend one night, and she was laying on the couch, and we had never even kissed, and we ended up having sex that night. But it was a very similar situation as to what you just said. And it was, completely unintentional, but it's just the difference is, I think a lot of times women think men think like they do,
No,
we don't think like y'all do. We're not wired the same, and
completely different.
Yeah. So I think if you got to do the work and get the healing, and if you do want to be comforted, probably best to get comforted by your girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said. Okay, cool. So, So how do people avoid this pain? What would you say is the best chance to avoid it? Is it moving slow, asking lots of questions when you're dating, or what do you suggest
I
people?
mean, you shouldn't even go into the dating stage with that pain. That pain has to stop at the door. You have to get to a point where you're able to receive and give love effectively without, putting your pain in the way or putting your hurt or your grief in the way. Because think about it, you spent years trying to heal, trying to do better with your life. And now you're trying to help somebody else get over their baggage when you've been praying your life for at least somebody who's whole and you can have a good relationship. But now you're spending the next, 6 months to a year helping someone heal or get over their ex, after you spent so much time with you. So my thing is you have to work on yourself, and that's one of the hardest thing to do, work on yourself, work on your heart, work on areas of your life that you lack. Make a list. What's my strength and what is my weakness? So whatever your weakness is, work on those weaknesses. So when you go into those relationships, when you go into the next relationship, you go into it with a strength, and when you get into a relationship or you start dating, ask the right questions. Asking the right questions will save you from a lot of trouble, issues, and problems. And ask away. Don't stop asking. Don't think that you're asking too much. Because if you want to spend the rest of your life with someone, if you want to give this person a part of you, if you want to love this person, marry this person, meet their families, there should be no questions. It's too much because they're auditioning for your life. And your life is very, very important. And if you are worthy and if you are that important, you will act away.
Right. Yeah. I think that's something that we don't really think about, like that there is damage that occurs during breakups, like people do not, especially if it's the longer that you're together, especially if you're married and then the people come apart. You hear about people that are married. They're like, I don't ever want to get married again. They're terrified of marriage because they think that because it was so painful for them that like they don't want to do it again. They're scared of it. But it's like, like I think the one thing I always talk about, like people, all the world religions agree on one thing. They all agree that basically the golden rule, doing to others as you'd have them doing to yourself, doing to you.
Yeah.
And if you're like going into relationships carelessly and damaging people for the next person to take care of, because they're going to go, busted up, go crawling into that relationship, limping in, and you got to be like Captain Save-A-Ho. No offense, right? But like that's for real, right? Like I was dating a girl for a short time a couple of years ago, and she said by her own admission that she was damaged. And I, like this was a girl that had been in my life for a long time, and here I'm picking up the pieces of a mess that somebody else made, and
it's not fair to you.
Yeah, it didn't end up working out, and I think maybe in large part because of that, but I don't think we think through it like, you're basically making a mess that somebody else has to clean up,
Yeah.
But I guess that's where people like you come in.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair to the other person, who worked so hard to get to a place where they needed to be. And now they have to do extra work now just to make a relationship work. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah. What do you think about soul ties?
Well, soul ties is, that's just a whole deep conversation. With that, I had a conversation with someone about a week ago about soul ties, and that goes back to a lot of trauma. When you were actually younger, to the same thing with the same insecurities and bonding with people who aren't good to you, because there are good ones and there are bad ones. So a lot of it, I believe, have to do with yourself. It has to do with because it's your soul and another soul. You're only responsible for your soul. You're only responsible for your salvation. You're only responsible for your half. So I'm not responsible for another half. I'm responsible for me. So at the end of the day, when I know that I'm in a soul tie that's kind of detrimental to my salvation and to my spiritual growth, you have to understand the damage that's being done, because that damage is actually stopping you from becoming your best and God's best for your life. So you can't move forward with that. That's something that you have to kind of pray on, and you have to work hard, because I believe, in my personal opinion, I think that's kind of harder than a breakup.
Right.
Because you could be tied to someone. I've spoken to people who've been tied to someone for 2 decades, 20 years, and she can't let go of this person because in her mind, that is the person she's supposed to be with. He's married, got grown kids, Rob.
Wow.
In her mind, I love him and it's still mine. I'm like, so I'm talking to her, I'm like, so like, what do you expect me to do? She's like, I want you to help me, but it doesn't want the help. She every day Facebook liking, oh, this and that, still try to talk to him. He leave me alone, still does this. But it's scary how you sacrifice your life because you feel as if that person is my soulmate. I love them. They're there. I can't stop thinking about this person. The soul ties, the words. I can't stop thinking about this person. I can't live without this person. This person is my everything, and sometimes, it happens in friendships too.
Yeah.
People don't, it happens in friendships. It happens in also in family, with your sisters and your brothers. Some people can't move on to a good marriage or good relationship because they have a soul tie with their brother or their sister, and everywhere their spouse goes, the brother have to go as well. Or if there's an issue in a family, your spouse run to her brother, but won't even run to you. So it's very deep, to those things. Yeah.
It's funny because like now that I know what they are and have experienced them a few times, and I'm out of it. I don't have any soul ties, I believe, with anybody. They're so easy to spot for me. Like I have I have multiple friends that are in marriages that I'm like, it's a soul tie. I can see the connection isn't that great, but they're stuck, and they very well may stay stuck for their whole life. Like I know some friends that have been bitching about their partner for like 20 years and they're still with them. And I'm like, this is why I tell people it's such a big problem. And you have to be so careful. Like, this is why waiting works, because you have to be careful, because if you let that person in and you get attached to the wrong person, you might never get out, like, and I see like people that are really strong in some areas of their life, like especially women, because I think, if a man moves on, like you said, your female client, like I see women when if they get left by a man, sometimes those women will never get over it. They could be like bosses, like running corporations. I'm thinking about this one woman I know. She was like running a multi-million-dollar corporation, but when it came to that thing, that man, she was like a puppy. She, like she was a completely different person. She could not wield any authority, or like she couldn't even control herself. And it's weird how like you could be a boss on some level, but then when it comes to that, you're completely opposite.
And that's the thing, they own a piece of you. You kind of give up the rights, in a way, to be yourself or to be 100% you. And even back to the guy with the guy, there's people who I know today, they argue, consistently, and they would not get a divorce. They're still there. And some people are like, what, it is what it is. I'm stuck. And once you believe that those things, you are. Right. I have people who say, I'm stuck with them. It is what it is. I don't care anymore. My life, and that's it. And you're like 45, 50, that's still young. Like I know people who remarry at 65, 70, who still living their best life, and a lot of people, they let their mind rob them of the future that they could have had. They let that rob them. They let that rob them.
All right, last question. This is from a viewer. It's from Jill Schumacher. What is the proper way to break up? She said face-to-face over dinner or at their house, phone call, text. And then she finished it off. Why do people choose to ghost?
Okay, so the worst way to break up is text. Do not text. You are owed more respect than a text message. If I invested in you, cooked for you, was there for you, gave you money, don't you text me and tell me it's over. I don't know. That's not what you do, right? And then the other ways is whatever you feel comfortable doing, right? Don't do it over dinner, because they might throw the plate down, slap it down, and then you might be paying the bill, depending on how things go, right? Don't do it in the house alone, because it might turn in physical, depending on how it is, because I don't know the type of person. My thing is, you could do it in a neutral place, but make sure it's probably over coffee, no place, a place outside, maybe, or you could even do it at your house, but have a friend in the other room, while you break the news. But don't do it over text. Don't break up over text. Do it where you feel most comfortable at, because you have to be comfortable and you have to be at a really good state of mind when you're kind of like, breaking down what's going on. And don't do it over video chat either.
Have you ever got broken up with over text?
Over text? No.
I had a girl break up with me over text.
Mm-hmm.
It was my last girlfriend. It was the girl I talk about when I rededicated my life to God. We stopped having sex, and I knew I was ready to break up. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
both of us were. It was the writing was on the wall, but she texted me and was like, "I don't ever want to get married again." Basically, she's like, and she broke because I said basically, I'm like, look, if we become convinced that we're in love, we'll get married and then we can start having sex again.
Mm-hmm.
And she texted me and was like, I don't ever want to get married again, but basically broke up with me. So,
How did that make you feel?
I guess I was like, well, I got my answer. Like I wasn't hurt. I was hurt later because she started dating her neighbor and sleeping with him, and like literally right within days. So that kind of hurt, but the breakup itself didn't really hurt. So
yeah. I mean, at least that when that happened, I will know it wasn't me. I would just, it will hurt, but at the end of the day, it wasn't you. It was nothing that you can control. Yeah.
So, what are you working on right now?
Right now, I have a PR team, so we're doing a lot of collaborations, influencer collaborations now. A lot of podcasts. Thinking about doing like 2, 3, 4 of them a week. Now a lot of interviews, TV interviews. Been doing a lot of those lately too. And actually just planning. I've been just planning right now for next year. I realized that I've been working too fast. Going places, but not going where I need to be. So I have to slow down and probably chop a little things up and get rid of some things that I used to do, and slow down and be more focused. When I speak to a lot of people, they're like, oh no, you're doing good, but you better than anybody else. And a lot of people might say, oh, you're doing good. No, I think you should be. No, I know what I'm capable of, and I know when I need to scale back a little bit to kind of see everything from a different view, a different angle. So I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm just doing a lot of the podcasts, the collaborations with brands, doing those, and working on a new book, When a Grown Man Cries. That's the title of it. So that's going to be a really good book for men and healing and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
I want to read the last one. So if you guys don't know, Keishorne he's pretty big. I mean, you got about between Instagram and Facebook, I want to say you have about 500,000 subscribers, 500,000 followers. And then your first book, Life, tell us about that. What was that about?
That talks about love, insecurities, friends, and envy. It kind of talked about a lot of my stuff from my past as well. Talks about my love life with my ex, talks about my love life with my family, how I didn't love myself, especially after the breakup. When I was going through it, I fell in a deep depression, really didn't love myself, hated myself, the way I looked, the way I, the way I loved, the way I accept love, give love. I really hated that part of my life. And then it talks about my insecurities. Because I didn't love myself, I built up a lot of insecurities of who I wasn't and who I should be and who I didn't become and, who I should be right now, whatever it may be. And then it got into the friends and the family portion, where it talked about I didn't really have the right friends and the right family support behind me. So that kind of built on the insecurity and the kind of loving myself the wrong way. And then it talks about envy, because I didn't love myself the right way. And because of the insecurities and because of the failed family and friends experience and connection, I was envying what everybody else had. And I thought everybody else was more blessed than me. So when I realized that that was part of my life, I kind of started a healing process from there. So that was my first book. Yeah.
And then tell us about the mouse, the bird, the dog, and the lion. 3 men to avoid and 1 to marry.
Yeah, the mouse, the bird, the dog, and the lion. It talks about the mouse, which is like the sneaky, the cheater, the one who's kind of like does stuff at night. And they only come out at daytime when they really, 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 really have to. It's very rare occasions you see a mouse. I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, so sometimes when I was younger, the mouse would come out at broad daylight, well, right in front of you. So it talks about the mouse with that. So that's the cheating, that's the sneakiness, that's the doing things behind your back, with the phone conversations. You jump off the bed, go into the next room with the phone, when usually he takes phone calls right in front of you, but
Right.
lately he's been taking phone calls elsewhere.
Yeah.
Then it talks about the bird. The bird is the man who's uncomfortable having disagreements, arguments, and conversations. So if you're fighting and you're telling him about themselves, he's gonna be like, you know what, I'm out, and he's gonna fly into another woman's coop or nest and do things elsewhere because he's having a hard time confronting. So that's that man who's, whenever he's confronted, whenever you're talking to him, he's flying, he's out the door. He doesn't stay, he doesn't talk to you about it. He's gone into another woman's nest because he's gonna feel secure elsewhere. Then it talks about the dog. The dog, you might think that the dog's man's best friend or could be your best friend, but he's very jealous. If the gate is open, he's out the gate, hump somebody else, come right back where he was at, and like he never did anything ever, you know, and he's jealous. So if he sees you petting another dog, or in analogy, talking to another man, even if it's friendship, he's gonna come right there and be, hey, what's going on? Because he's gonna be jealous. The same way when a dog sees a woman or anybody petting someone else, he's gonna come back and start brushing up against you and be, hey, don't forget about me, I'm still here. And then it talks about the lion. You know, the lion is the king, the one you should look for. A lot of women ask me, can the lion have mixed traits? Yes. You know, a lion is not going to be 100% a lion. Of course, men are going to have, he's going to be a lion, but 85% lion, but you can't have no 5% mouse. You can have a bird, the one who's uncomfortable having those conversations, or a piece of a dog who's probably a little bit jealous, you know, or even if you do have a mouse, you probably do things secretly, but it's not to the point where cheating is involved.
Right. So did you write it from like the perspective, like the angle of a parable, or was it like written as like a fictitious story, or are you actually describing these kind of men?
No, all the stories in there are true based on research from other women, but I'm doing it off of research on different type of men.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what other kind of programs do you have? Like, do you still have some Heartbreak, some programs for people that are trying to get?
Yeah, I do have the courses. Yeah, I have the online courses that I have. I have a self-esteem course, and I have a 59 lesson Heartbreak course, which I
Wow.
add to. Yeah, I add to it weekly. So I add exclusive videos on there. One video as bonuses. So it's like at least 10 or 20 bonuses, you know, already in there. So anytime I feel to it, I'll add and I'll just send people an email. Hey guys, new video on forgiveness. Videos be like 2-3 minutes long. Just something that I feel in my spirit to talk about. I will just add value towards that course.
And they can
And
find
the
that
self-esteem course.
on your website, Keishorne Scott.
Yeah, no, you can actually go to my Instagram page sometimes, or my link tree is in it. But I kind of switch my links out in and out based on what I'm promoting in my story or in my bio. So my links is like changing every hour or every like 6 hours based on what I'm promoting and selling at the time.
Okay.
But I think you could definitely go, or you can go to Keishorne Scott Heartbreak, or send me an email, you know, to info@keishornescott.com. Yeah.
There you go. info@keishornescott.com, or you can DM him on Instagram, or check him out on his website. Dude, I can't wait till this COVID stuff is over, because I just want to come to New York and link up with you. I'm like, I know you did you spoke at Stefan's event last year, and I was like, man, sorry I missed that. If I knew that
it was
everything
good.
was about to be shut down, I might have driven up and met you guys. But I'm looking forward to things getting back to normal, and definitely collaborating with you more in the future.
When it does, people are going to be going crazy. People are going to be out every day. So when everything like gets back to normal, everybody better have their plan ready, because people are going to want to come out. They're going to want to come to these events.
Yeah.
So it's going to be big.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it again.
Okay, Keishorne, I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Thanks. Okay, guys. So that was Keishorne Scott. You all can check him out. I'll put his contact info in the show notes. I want to mention one quick thing before I jump off. And I want to mention two things that I'm working on. One is I'm relaunching, I'm launching a new course. It's actually my old course with some slight changes. It's called the Proverbs 31 Blueprint. It's specifically for women. The reason that I'm doing it is because I've mentioned before in videos, I see a lot of women that are so focused on finding a future husband that they don't focus on becoming a future wife. Like they're not using their time off as intentionally as they could be, because it's an incredible opportunity when you're single and you don't have someone else's happiness to worry about. And when you shift your focus off of becoming a future wife, off of finding a future husband and becoming a future wife, it just makes the wait so much easier, but it also is so attractive to the opposite sex. Like guys will literally be, lined up when you aren't thirsty. There's something super sexy about an independent woman. And I see that. I have some girlfriends, I can't help but think of Nicole. Nicole's got a lot of guys that want to marry her because she's so focused on doing God's will for her life. And she really is a Proverbs 31 woman. She's an amazing, amazing human being. And I have a few Proverbs 31 women in my life, but I see that as a consistent pattern. And I want to help people do that. Like some of the women that have taken my course actually are watching right now. I think are on Facebook still, Vicky McKendry and Mindy Slimmer and others. And it, like these coaching exercises that are included in the course really help you set your life up in such a way that you become that virtuous woman described in Proverbs 31. So anyway, I'm launching that here in the next probably 2 weeks. And then I'm also going to have a mastermind, a mentorship and mastermind group. So I get requests pretty regularly from women that ask me to coach them. And I don't have the time really to do one-on-one coaching, and it would be too expensive for anyone, if I was to do that. So it's basically going to be like group coaching. There's going to be time where they'll mastermind with other successful entrepreneurs that are like-minded. So if you want information about either of those things, you can drop me a DM depending on which platform you're watching on, or you can just send me an email to rob@robbkowalski.com and I'll get you some more information on that. So that's it for episode 29. If you have anybody out there that you'd like to see me talk to, leave a comment. Let me know who you would love to see me interview or a topic that you'd like to see me cover. Would love to know that as well. So that's it. Appreciate you all. Have a great Monday night, Tuesday, depending on what night you're watching this. See ya.